Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a video on the Pwnage Stormbreaker, the all-magnesium ergonomic mouse, the only all-magnesium ergonomic mouse right now currently on the market, with a movable sensor that can be changed in the bottom position, the top position, or in the middle. Overall, my build quality is absolutely phenomenal compared to the Final Mouse Starlight 12 Small out of the box. I have zero issues with my particular copy. I think the colorway looks absolutely aesthetically pleasing, and compared to the EC series on the left and the DeathAdder V3 Pro, you do have a solid option that I think a lot of people are going to be maining in 2023, and I think right now has a solid argument as to why it's the best ergonomic mouse on the market. Let's get into it. The holes on the mouse do not get in the way at all in terms of its general feel during use, and overall, aesthetically speaking, the paint job just looks phenomenal. In terms of the build quality, Mouse 1 and Mouse 2 have very little side play, if any at all. Pre and post travel on Mouse 4 and Mouse 5 are very minimal, likewise on Mouse 1 and Mouse 2. In the firing range, you can see the mouse is on the smaller side. I have a lot of inner hand maneuverability. I'm able to whip it around and get that extra verticality in my hand. When I started originally testing this mouse, I did have some firmware-related issues with the DPI randomly changing from 800 to 400. They have updated the firmware since I began my testing, and I have zero issues. At 1600 DPI and 2000 Hz polling rate, the mouse performs like an absolute beast. I have no hiccups, I have no stutters, and I do think that the performance on the mouse, just in general in terms of its build quality, its weight balance, the magnesium shell, and the size and shape of the mouse, which I'll get into, mixed with that 2000 Hz performance, it really does feel fantastic. And I think a lot of people may be swapping to this as a main pick for their ergonomic mouse in terms of its overall performance. But it is going to boil down to shape, which we'll get into now. There are a lot of very good ergonomic mice on the market, particularly a lot of which follow in the footsteps of the Zowie EC line. We see the X-Lite V2 or V3 that kind of gets a little bit closer to the EC2, the Razer DeathAdder V3 that gets somewhat close to an EC1. The Stormbreaker kind of fills a gap that a lot of ergonomic mice are missing. It actually gets closer to the EC3. We can see that the mouse is a hair longer than the EC3, and it feels a little bit more narrow. And the main difference, the main change from the EC3 is going to feel in how aggressive the hump rounds down to Mouse 1. So when you do have your index finger resting over the hump and then down to Mouse 1, it actually feels like it slopes a lot further down more aggressively, more quickly than the EC3. So it kind of goes from a little bit more of a comfort feel to a little bit more of an aggressive feel. And if you're somebody who likes that, I would definitely say look for the Stormbreaker compared to the EC3. I can't really decide which shape I prefer between the two, but I really do like the Stormbreaker. I like the weight of it. I could use and interchange either one of these and be really happy, so it's hard for me to say, go for this instead of this. But if you're looking for that magnesium shell, you love the aesthetic, you like the fact that the sensor does have the interchangeable positioning, which none of these other mice do, and the 2K Hertz polling rate, it really does feel like a phenomenal mouse. Again, more aggressive feeling EC3 CW. I love it. I can't recommend it enough so far. I just don't really have many faults with the Pwnage Stormbreaker. When you start comparing the EC2 to the Stormbreaker, the EC2 is going to feel a lot more hand-filling. So if you do want a little bit more under your hand than the EC2 or the EC3, you will get that both in width as well as height and length. It does still have some nice inner hand maneuverability. The EC2 has been absolutely renowned in the CS community as well as other communities. It's just a phenomenal mouse that a lot of other ergonomic shapes have followed in its footsteps because it is such a good shape. The Stormbreaker feels a lot different than the EC2. It's going to feel more narrow. It's going to feel a little bit flatter and, again, more aggressive. So it really is a big change from the EC2, and the X-Lite V3 or V2 actually is closest to the EC2. So again, you're going to get the same change from the EC2 as you will the X-Lite V2 or V3. The Dave and the EC1 are kind of behemoths compared to the Pwnage Stormbreaker. Again, the EC1 being the biggest ergonomic out of all of these. The Dave is just a little bit flatter, not as long, a little bit more narrow. But overall, the Dave compared to the Ponage Stormbreaker is quite a change. The Stormbreaker feeling a lot more aggressive, a lot more inner hand maneuverability. The Dave and the EC1 are really mice that you will use if you like more of a palm feel. If you like more mouse under your palm, I would recommend you in this direction. I think both of these mice, especially the EC1, it feels great, but you definitely start to activate more of your arm when you're aiming. So if you're looking for that, I do think that both of these mice are great options. I just think you get a lot more inner hand maneuverability with the Ponage Stormbreaker. So it, again, depends on what you're looking for. More arm activation, more finger and wrist activation. I think either option is great. It depends on what scenario. I love these for track heavy games. I also like them if you're looking for tack shooters. So I kind of interchange between two. I can't really point you in one direction or the other. I can just say the Stormbreaker again is the definitely the most aggressive feeling ergonomic out of all of these, and definitely is on the smaller side like the EC3. It feels great. And in the box, you get a keychain screwdriver, a pretty interesting pyramid-shaped puck for the mouse, and you get some pretty solid grips. Overall, my experience with the Ponage Stormbreaker has been a solid one. I've enjoyed testing this mouse. I like it a lot. It's going to get a lot of playtime from me. Whether or not the $180 price tag is worth it for you guys is up for you to decide. The fact that we're seeing plastic mice sell for $150, this is the only magnesium ergonomic mouse on the market. It is the lightest ergonomic mouse on the market at 51 grams. It has Omron 20Ms that feel phenomenal in the mouse itself. Overall build quality, again, is exceptional. Sensor performance at 2000 hertz pulling rate on the new firmware is pretty flawless from what I've experienced. And it is the only ergonomic mouse on the market that has an adjustable sensor, both up, down, or in the middle, wherever you would like to place it. So it's a very unique mouse with a lot of features, and the performance, the size, the shape definitely fills a void on the market for a solid, smaller sized ergonomic mouse. I think the Ponage Stormbreaker is great. It gets a recommendation from me. I hope the review helped. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.